When's it from?
From 2011.
Okay, that's always a little dangerous. Go ahead.
So I don't know if we're rolling the tweet.
Yeah.
But I've got it right here.
What is it?
You've got
Oh, there it is.
Yep.
Oh, it's my top 12 of all time at that point in time.
Yep. For those of you listening on the podcast, it's Jordan at number 1, Russell at number 2, Magic at 3, Kareem at 4, Wilt at 5, Duncan at 6, Kobe at 7, Bird at 9.
Bird at 8.
Bird at 8, sorry.
Yep.
Oscar at 9, Shaq at 10, West at 11.
Jerry West.
Jerry West.
Yep.
Okay. And then LeBron at number 12.
LeBron at number 12.
This is 2011, though.
Okay. So people have been sending me this. First of all, great job by you recognizing that we have audio listeners, not just viewers. So you got to read out the tweet. I had forgotten that. Great job. People have been sending this to me as some type of taunt about my lack of consistency.
All right.
I actually think this shows amazing consistency over the last decade. So first, let me address what is on its face 2 obvious errors. 2 guys who have not played a game since 2011 moved up in the rankings.
Yep.
So how could that happen? So Kareem went from behind Jordan and Magic to ahead of both of them. And Akeem went from behind Shaq to ahead of him, right? Okay. I think those are both incredibly easy to explain. And the answer is I was not as educated then as I am now. In 2011, I wasn't efforting to write a book on this. I was doing it just from my own general thoughts, feelings, that if I'm being totally transparent on the Kareem stuff in particular, I think was clouded immensely, and we can start the clock if we want, because I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this, immensely from Bill Simmons' opinions on Kareem. And Bill Simmons, he had written this great book, The Book of Basketball. He does 75 Greatest Players Ever. And Bill has, I would say, a saltier view of Kareem than I came to have.
Right.
And I hadn't done my own independent research on it. So that's why I was as shocked as anybody that going into the project, I would have thought I would have had Kareem behind Magic and certainly behind Jordan. I was as shocked as anybody when, after I did the research, that's no longer the opinion I held.
Okay.
The Akeem take is very simple. And you can say I was indoctrinated somewhat, but this was before I had moved to and worked in Houston. And there was, once I lived there, and there was such reverence for Akeem. And my co-host on the radio, John Lopez, who I greatly respect his basketball opinion. Right. He actually thinks Wilt is the greatest player ever, but set that aside. Who covered that said, Nick, if you got to look into Akeem outside of the 2 titles. He's like, he goes, once you do it, you're going to have a greater appreciation for him, which I did. I looked at it and I said, oh, I had underrated this guy. Right. So that's the adjustments of the 2 guys who haven't played. All the other guys, the order stays the exact same. So Russell, Wilt, West, and Oscar are not eligible for my list. But I had a decade ago, Duncan just ahead of Kobe. By the way, since then, Duncan went to the finals twice more and won another title, further solidified himself ahead of Kobe. I had Kobe just ahead of Bird. Kobe played a little bit since then, but didn't do anything substantial.
Right.
I had Shaq as the last guy in the grouping. One could also argue, Nick, I have what happens to Dr. J and Moses. Well, Dr. J and Moses would have been on the outside of this 12, if you will, if we had added Wilt and Oscar and Russell, if it wasn't the last 50 years. This is all time. Also, if I'm being honest, in 2011, I don't think I knew as much about Dr. J and Moses as I do now. Then it comes to the LeBron thing. Folks send me this and say, oh, LeBron went from outside of the top 10 to number 1. You're goddamn right.
It's the easiest one.
He won 4 titles, won 2 more MVPs, went to 9 more finals since I sent out this tweet. Guess what, America? If you send me my list that right now has Giannis outside of the top 13 in a decade, and he's added 4 more rings, a couple more MVPs, and 8 more finals trips, he's going to have skyrocketed.
Right.
So what would have been bad for me would have been if this list had no connection whatsoever to my current one. But really, with the only exception being I had underrated a couple big men from the 70s and 80s in Kareem and Hakeem. I say I did well. And the other reason I love this tweet that it's being brought up is the following. It's alleged by some corners of the internet that the LeBron stuff is like me playing a character. I'm trying to be the anti-Skip. FS1 told me to do it. And this is documentation that back when I was doing midday radio in Kansas City,
right,
I was still hashtagging tweets with "can't help my love for LeBron." So that's authentic. All right. Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to get more from the show, and make sure to click the bell to get notified every time new content drops. Check out full episodes of What's Right wherever you get your podcasts, or just click the link in the description below.